The following is a community affairs presentation from the Ulster County Health Department. This is the Healthy Ulster Radio Show, a weekly presentation exploring community health and sustainability with guests representing a broad spectrum of community partners working to make Ulster County the healthiest in New York State. This program is sponsored by the Health Alliance of the Hudson Valley in Kingston, a member of the WMC Health Network.
Good morning. You are listening to Healthy Ulster Radio. I am your host, Dr. Carol Smith, Commissioner of Health and Mental Health for Ulster County. With me today is Vin Martello, my co-host, our Director of Community Health Relations. Good morning, Vin.
Good morning, Dr. Smith. How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks.
Dr. Smith, we've had our guest on previously. Her name is Carolyn Torella from the American Heart Association.
Welcome, Carolyn.
And
thanks for having
Carolyn. Me. And we know that heart disease is the number one killer in Ulster County and across the nation. And it's a topic that we really can't say enough about. So today we've invited Carolyn to talk to us about some exciting things that are going on with the American Heart Association in the month of February. Carolyn, would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, February is American Heart Month, and on the first Friday of the month, we celebrate National Wear Red Day, which is really a national awareness program to let Americans know that heart disease is the number one killer of Americans, all Americans, including women. And too few women know this fact, which means they're really not aware that that is their number one health threat, which means they're not preventing it. They're not understanding their enemy, essentially. And so they're not taking steps to prevent it in their own lives. So that's what Wear Red Day is all about, to really get women up to speed on awareness, knowledge, and prevention, and also recognizing the signs and symptoms of a heart attack. Because too few women go to the doctor when they have the symptoms, and they're dying at a higher rate than men.
Dr. Smith, would you like to elaborate a little bit on the situation with heart disease, cardiovascular disease?
Sure. Well, as Carolyn just stated, heart disease is the leading cause of death in Ulster County, in New York State, and across the country. And in New York State, heart disease or cardiovascular heart disease killed over 40,000 people in a year. And the costs of that, the loss of life is immeasurable in terms of cost. Certainly we want to recognize that. But in 2016, the total cost, medical costs, etc., lost productivity of cardiovascular disease in New York State was over $22 billion, which is a huge amount of money. So certainly the more we can do to prevent heart disease, to extend people's lives and the quality of life, certainly benefits all of us.
And Carolyn, so we know, as Dr. Smith just said, that prevention is the key to saving lives. What are some of the ways people can prevent cardiovascular disease and stroke?
It's when you think about heart disease, we kind of know how to deal with this one. Unlike cancer, where a lot of it's kind of an unknown cause, we know about heart disease and what causes it. And the majority of it is lifestyle. It's the fact that we don't exercise 30 minutes every day. We're smoking. Too many of us are still smoking. We don't eat a diet that's rich in fruits and vegetables or high fiber or fish. So we know that those are the things that we have to tackle. So the American Heart Association really recommends, first of all, quit smoking. If you're a smoker, quit smoking. That's the number one preventable cause of heart disease, and that can save so many lives. And New York State, of course, has a lot of free resources with the New York State Quit Smokers line, so you can go there and get information for free.
It's 1-800-NY-QUITS if anybody's wondering, or nysmokefree.com.
Yes, I believe.
nysmokefree.com.
Right. And so lots of resources, and if at first you don't succeed, try again. It really is worth it. And you're saving your life, but you're also saving the suffering of your family, really, because everybody goes through the illness that you'll suffer from when it comes to smoking. Another thing that's really, kind of a simple fix is changing your diet. And we're not talking about major overhaul in one day. We're talking about adding fruits and vegetables slowly to every meal. It's easy to add fruit to your breakfast. If you're having oatmeal, add some fruit in there. If you're having cereal, add fruit. At lunchtime, start with leafy green lettuces and add stuff on top of that, like nuts or fruit, lean meat or fish is a great salad, or even to your sandwich, start with a whole grain bun or bread or wrap, add mostly vegetables to that, and then meat. Meat should be kind of almost like a window dressing, as opposed to the way the Americans do it, where we put a stack of meat and then a little bit of lettuce and tomato. It should kind of be the opposite. And then at dinner, you kind of eating lighter in that meal, almost like a Mediterranean diet, where you eat your bigger meal in the middle of the day, and then eating mostly vegetables and fruit on your plate. And if you go to the USDA, they have the plate, the myplate.gov is the website, and you can see kind of a sample plate and what that looks like. Some great resources there.
I know we always encourage people to not be overwhelmed by the changes that they need to make, and to make small steps, right? Incremental steps, and that could mean, just like we have our Walk in Water campaign every year, and the basic premise of that message is, if you did nothing else but substituted water for sugar-sweetened beverages and walked 30 minutes a day, you'd already be well on your way to a healthier you. You don't need magic weight loss pills or exotic exercise programs, but just make small, achievable, incremental steps, and then as you begin to get healthier, you'll want to do more, and you can just add on to that.
Right, and you'll be able to do more. You'll be able to walk further, exercise more, play with your kids longer, not get winded when you go up the stairs or walk in from the parking lot.
We'll be repeating this same message in many of our shows, because the basic principles apply to preventing not only heart disease and stroke, but cancer, the chronic pulmonary diseases. Stopping smoking is number one, and it crosses all of these different areas in terms of the number one way to prevent some of these major diseases that are affecting us. So it's not only the quit smoking, don't start smoking, the healthier diet, more fruits, more vegetables, whole grains, less fat, eating low fat selections as opposed to high fat, some just minor increases in walking every day really help us to prevent many diseases across the board. And it's the same theme throughout that prevention story.
Right, and we always say, don't be overwhelmed. That change starts with small steps that accumulate over time and lead to a healthier you. And with regard to smoking, Dr. Smith, as you're well aware, our county executive and yourself have been very out front in terms of smoking prevention, vaping prevention. In Ulster County, several years ago, we passed a local law prohibiting smoking on all county property. Then we worked with all of the municipalities in Ulster County to prohibit smoking in public parks and playgrounds. In 2015, we passed a local law that requires county licensing of tobacco retailers with no new licenses issued within 1,000 feet of all K through 12 schools.
That's great.
Because tobacco companies spend $25 million a year marketing their products, mostly at point of purchase in the store.
I think that's $1 billion.
Yeah, in the store. Well, I mean, $25 million a day. Sorry, pardon me, a day, and it's really at point of purchase in those stores that our kids frequent.
Absolutely, they're looking to make our kids their substitute smokers, and that's so unconscionable. And preventing kids from being victims of secondhand smoke is also very important in our initiative. The county executive is also examining how we can raise that tobacco age to 21 in Ulster County, which I think is very important because most smokers begin smoking, lifelong addiction, before the age of 18, probably most before earlier than that. But we want to protect our children. I can't see how anyone could be against an initiative like that. And, the county executive, I was fortunate enough to be present when he gave a certificate to the American Heart Association. We are lighting the county office building red to recognize Heart Healthy Month. And these are all initiatives that just indicate how much we care about the people of this community.
Yeah, tobacco is certainly one of the big ones. And we've also added, as we know, the definition of tobacco products includes vaping as well, because vaping is another way that tobacco companies use to market to kids and recruit new smokers. vaping does have carcinogenic materials in their
and
in the
mostly
products.
a nicotine delivery
And they're
system.
highly addictive
It's
nicotine.
really a
Very
gateway
addictive.
drug, really.
Yeah.
Yes,
Think about it.
absolutely. Carolyn, so we were talking a little bit about some of the initiatives that American Heart has going,
Right.
celebrations and
Right.
awareness days and months.
Well, I did want to talk, since you talked about Tobacco 21, that we did have just as recently as 2 weeks ago in Orange County, the county executive signed a law there increasing the purchase age from 18 to 21. So that's on the books, and that'll go into effect June 1st. But the American Heart Association is fighting through our You're the Cure Action Network to get a statewide law passed, because if you just pass it in one county, they could just kind of travel across county lines and get
Right.
what they need. But a statewide legislation is really what we're looking for. So we applaud you for starting up with that and having those conversations, because we know it'll save lives. And really what it does is takes the tobacco out of the high school arena, because now 18-year-olds who are seniors would be legal to smoke on not on campus, but certainly have them, and now their friends won't see them smoking because they won't have it.
And we know by our own biannual in-school surveys of all Ulster County middle and high school students that the average age of initiation of smoking is 14. So they are getting these products, and we know that raising the age doesn't prohibit adults from acquiring those products,
Right.
but it does have a marked effect on keeping students from engaging in smoking in the first place.
And actually, it was interesting that the Orange County executive went out kind of undercover into shops that sold tobacco products, and they had a student kind of person with them, or someone who looked young, and had them purchase.
Well, that's the ATUPA. We also do that, and we look for retailers who don't check the ID of their customer and sell to an underage person. So, we're certainly involved in that effort as well, and we take it very seriously in Ulster County.
Thank you.
Right. I mean, retailers need to check every single person because the fines are pretty hefty, and you run the risk of losing your license and even your lottery license for multiple repeat offenses. So you really, retailers, get on your toes and contact us if you need us. We'll come and do free training for your staff to help you with that.
Right, and it saves the lives of our children in the community, so it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. Some other things that we have in February in Heart Month, they're just really exciting stuff. So I don't know if we're going to...
Well, you know what? Let's talk about that after a very short break.
Terrific.
We'll be right back. You're listening to Healthy Ulster Radio with our guest, Carolyn Torella from the American Heart Association.
The excitement continues to build. The mission of Health Alliance is now made even stronger by our new partnership with the Westchester Medical Center Health Network. By combining a legacy of community-based care with WMC Health, we are building a stronger, healthier, and more vibrant community. We'll be collaborating to provide preventive, primary, specialty, and advanced care right here where you live, where we all live. Health Alliance and WMC Health, advancing care here. Visit HAHV.org to learn more.
Welcome back. You are listening to Healthy Ulster Radio. Our guest today is Carolyn Torella, Regional Communications Director for the Hudson Valley American Heart Association.
And Dr. Smith, we were talking during the break a little bit about simple nutritional and lifestyle changes that could be made to help prevent heart disease. Would you like to elaborate? And Carolyn, please.
Sure. Certainly we want to be mindful of the fact that high cholesterol is a contributor to coronary artery disease and hypertension, high blood pressure. So two of the things that we are very concerned about in folks' diet is that they have or they limit or are more aware of the amount of sodium or salt that they're ingesting with their food, and also aware of the amount of sugar because increased sugar does contribute to obesity, and certainly obesity is a risk factor for coronary artery disease. So we have to be mindful of those two things in our diet that are making people sick.
Right. And, the American Heart Association understands that, people just have too much sodium in their diet, and very few Americans are aware that you're only supposed to get 1,500 milligrams of sodium in your day. Most people get twice that. And if you think about, reading labels, and we have all these great labels to read, and you look at the serving size of sodium, and especially in prepared foods like prepackaged frozen ones and canned goods, the sodium limits are through the roof on those. So if that's part of your regular diet, you're getting sodium from just those. We're not talking about salt at the table. We're talking about prepared foods. And also when you go out to dinner at restaurants, a lot of sodium in those foods, you can't control that because they're adding it ahead of time. So we recommend that you kind of eliminate or reduce the salty 6 in your diet, or be aware that these food groups are very high in salt. They're the highest. So it's surprisingly bread and rolls. So when you think about bread, like especially white bread, if you taste white flour, it doesn't taste like anything. So to get it to taste like something, you have to add that much salt to get it. That's why bread and rolls have a very high sodium content. Cold cuts and cured meats, very high in sodium in order to obviously cure them and keep them for a long shelf life. Pizza, which kind of has all the, has bread in there, and it's got cheese, which is high in sodium, and then tomato products, usually typically high in salt, and then the toppings as well. Poultry, a lot of poultry these days are injected with a sodium solution for preservation, but also, for drippings, for making gravy. So a lot of those have a lot of high sodium. So you can get kind of lower sodium poultry products, especially from your local providers. Soup and broth is very high in sodium. And then sandwiches, which is kind of a combination of the previous ones. So those are kind of our highest sodium sources in America. So if you can try and reduce those, and that's why, having a salad for lunch is really great, because there's no salt in salad, and what you put on top, you can control the amount of sodium.
Right. And with respect to sugar, it's the same thing, right? So you look at a typical food ingredient label, and you'll find, high fructose corn syrup or sugars or what have you. One of the beverages that has a lot of sugar, obviously, sodas, but even juice drinks, even these natural juices you find. One of the things that we always talk about when we go out to do education activities is when you look at the label and you see the total number of grams of sugar. So let's say it has 32 grams per serving.
Right.
Sometimes that bottle has more than one serving, but also if you divide that 32 by 4, that'll tell you the number of teaspoons of sugar. So most people can't believe that their natural juice that has 32 grams of sugar actually has 8 teaspoons of sugar in it. And again, we're not trying to be, Big Brother or tell you that you should radically alter your lifestyle. But if you could reduce the amount of salt that you consume sensibly, reduce the amount of sugar that you consume sensibly, get some physical activity. It doesn't have to be formal exercise. You don't have to go to the gym and be a bodybuilder. You can take a nice walk. You can do some, have a catch with your kids, what have you. Small steps to change, your lifestyle.
And to build it, especially the exercise, to build that in as a critical point of your day. Like, we all have busy lives, we all work, we have our calendars, we have things scheduled, our meetings, but where's our exercise scheduled into the day? That should be the first block of something you put in your day, your first priority, because without your health, you can't do anything else, right? If you're in the hospital with a heart attack and you're out for 6 months out of work, nothing else will be happening in your life.
It's much more inconvenient than taking a little time out to exercise. And, I always say that to my friends because I do go to the gym every week. And when I say that to someone, they say, oh, well, gee, I don't really have time for that. And I'm like, do you think I have time for that? I have a full-time job. I'm a single dad. I do, volunteer work, but I make time because I understand that if I want to be around for my daughter and, and have a good quality, healthy life, that exercise is just a key component. And again, I don't go and do bodybuilding. I actually take when I go to the gym, I do a series of moderate exercises, but it's really almost like quality time for me. I don't have the phone. I don't have the interruptions. It makes
you feel good. You feel good after exercise. I don't meet a lot of people who come from the gym and are like, oh, I had the worst time at the gym. No, they're happy. These are the happy people.
Because the thing is, once you start getting healthy, it feels good and you want to do more of it. That's the upside of it.
I also do want to talk about some of the initiatives that we have going on in Ulster County. The Complete Streets initiatives, for instance. So you don't have to go to a gym. Just get outside, walk along the sidewalk, use one of the trails that we have that we're building now, the rail trails, world-class system that the county executive is building. So, these are it won't cost you anything, and you don't have to go anywhere in particular necessarily. You just get outside and enjoy what's locally available.
Right, and even just things like at work, for instance, take the stairs if you're able instead of the elevator.
Right.
Get up off your desk,
every hour,
and take a walk around the building or through the halls. Yep. Something to just kind of be conscious that that activity and sensible, healthy eating and consumption of beverages can make a big difference in your life.
Yep, and we were talking about the scheduling. On my calendar every day at lunch is a block, and I have it scheduled from 12 to 12:30 every day, and it's called lunch and walking, and I'm not allowed to have any meetings scheduled during that time, which is kind of nice. Good. And so I walk for part of it, and then I eat lunch for the second part, and I need that break in the middle of the day, but it also reminds me that is a priority. Like, it's blocked off, and nobody's allowed to schedule over it. So.
And guess what, employers? You'll have less absenteeism, lower health insurance premiums, and more productivity if your workforce is
happier, healthier employees.
Exactly. No one's complaining about their back or their hip, injured. They'll all be good from exercise. So it's
So Carolyn, tell us a little bit. I know you have some heart walks coming up and some other events. Tell us a little bit about those, please.
Yeah, we have the heart walks are coming up in Poughkeepsie on March 25th, and that's at a new location this year, Marist College. So we're excited to be out there and get some great views of the river. And then on April 2nd, we're on the Ulster side at SUNY New Paltz, which is our second year there, and we love this location. It's right on campus, beautiful campus in the spring, and we don't have to worry about traffic or anything, and it's just a beautiful walk. So we get a lot of great support from the community. And actually, our two honorees, we have junior honorees this year, and they're both from Kingston. So Madison Dailies and Matthew Burchell were both born with congenital heart defects, and both survived. And one of them had Madison, actually, she was diagnosed in utero, which I think is fascinating. Now they can actually figure out that you're going to be born with a defect before you're born. So she had a very serious one, which is 4 heart defects at the same time. And she was born, and she had to have surgery after she was born. But Matthew can just have a healthy lifestyle and still live with his heart defect, and then just watch it as he gets older.
Well, the American Heart Association certainly supports research in heart disease and developing new techniques, for instance, in heart surgery, and supporting Nobel laureates who have major advances in recognizing the heart disease. So the American Heart Association, in addition to promoting the healthy walks and wear the red dress for women, etc., do help to fund a lot of very important scientific work.
Yes, and we are the number one funder of cardiovascular research in the country, behind the federal government, and also for congenital heart defect research. So it's important. It's a great thing that we do, and that's why we have these events, to help raise money to fund that research. I did want to mention, we were talking about congenital heart defects. This week is Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Week, and we have some great hospitals participating in our Little Hats, Big Hearts program, which is an awareness campaign for congenital heart defects. So the participating hospitals here in Ulster and across in Dutchess and Westchester and Putnam are participating. So every baby born in February will get a red knit hat knit by volunteers in the community, and Red Cap Cleaners volunteered to clean those for us, to sanitize those. And then it just raises awareness for the number one birth defect, heart defects. And all the families will receive educational information about healthy families and building healthy families. So we're really excited. We have so many great hospitals participating, and up here at the New Garden Family Birth Center at Northern Dutchess Hospital, and some wonderful hospitals in town, and Poughkeepsie as well. So we're excited about that, and that just helps families understand that healthy babies and healthy families is really important to get ahead of that with babies.
Absolutely. Yep. That's really terrific. So if people want more information about American Heart Association, about prevention tips, about events that are going on they could support, or perhaps you may have some volunteer opportunities.
Yes.
Where do people go to get that information?
Yeah, they can visit us online at heart.org/Hudson Valley. And then you'll come up on our homepage there and see our local events. And then there's all the links there for the healthy lifestyle choices you can make, and any information you need about prevention, or even if you have an illness, we have information on there. And if you're a survivor of heart disease or stroke, we have an online support network now, which you can link to from that page, supportnetwork.heart.org, and that'll put you in touch with other survivors. You can narrow the search down to someone who had the exact same, thing as you, heart attack, woman, over 50, and talk to someone who actually had that same thing and get support 24/7 online, anonymous, which is nice. And you don't have to leave your house. You don't have to worry about snow in the winter. So that's a great new service we have. We hope people will join in that as well. And congenital heart defect families find great support there.
And that website again?
It's if you just go to heart.org and type in support network, you'll find our link through there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's about all the time we have today. This is a fascinating topic as always, and we really thank you, Carolyn, and American Heart Association for all the amazing work that you do out there on behalf of all of us. That's about all the time we have. You're listening to Healthy Ulster Radio. Please join us next week for more information that you can use to keep yourself, your family, and your community healthy and strong.
You've been listening to the Healthy Ulster Radio Show, a community affairs presentation from the Ulster County Health Department, sponsored by Health Alliance of the Hudson Valley in Kingston, a member of the WMC Health Network. Thanks for listening, and be sure to join us for another edition of the Healthy Ulster Radio Show next week.